児童ポルノなどがやり取りされ、犯罪の温床となってきた写真共有アプリ、アルバムコレクション。アプリはアップストアなどで配信され、誰でも利用できる状態になっていた。なぜプラットフォーマーはアプリを野放しにしたのか。私たちは元アップル幹部でアプリ審査の統括を務めたフィリップ・シューメイカー氏を取材。アップストアやアップルの体制の問題点などについて幅広く話を聞くことができた。
Yes, I would say, there's a variety of problems with the App Store. One is that the review process is manual, which means it's done by humans. There are certain teams within Apple that review apps. Now, I believe it's now over 450 people. They download a bunch of apps and they go by them one by one and they go through a variety of processes. Now, one of the issues with this is that they're also reviewing around 100,000 apps per week. So they have a limited time to look at apps. And the estimate when I was there was about 13 minutes per app.
The users use passwords to obtain these contents. So in that kind of type of app, Apple can Apple review their content?
Yeah, when an app comes that you can go to different repositories or different locations to look at content, and that content might be under lock and key. In order to get access to that, you need passwords to the content. So Apple would have no ability to review that content. But some of the other things that are going on in the App Store is developers come and go as they please under assumed names. If you're an individual developer, not a company, you're an individual, you can submit an App Store using an email address you just made up. And if you do bad things then, there's no mark against your name because you're under an assumed name. And if you do something bad and Apple terminates your membership, you can come back in 5 minutes under a different name and do this over and over again. So you'll also find that a lot of the developers that you see on there are individuals. And that's a problem because when there is a problem in that app, how do you track down? It's very difficult, especially if it's international.
So about album collections case, there are so many reviews that pointed out there are so many CSAMs. What do you think? Why Apple doing nothing for it?
Apple ignores those largely. There's not a team that's set aside to look at that type of content. And the reason why is probably all about cash, right? The App Store is a juggernaut. It makes a lot of money for the company, but it also has to pay a lot of people to make it work. They have to pay a lot of servers, a lot of bandwidth charges, etc. So it's an expensive thing to run. It's a lower priority. It's probably on their priority list, but it's probably at the very bottom.
And is there any way for user to contact Apple directly?
Yeah, there is not. There are always ways to contact Apple, right? You can call your Apple Care line and talk to them. That's not going to solve the problem because Apple Care is thousands of people through many layers of hierarchy. The message is never going to get across. It's a very difficult web to try to find the right person to reach out to.
And is that by design?
I would say that is by design.
So then how Japanese people who are victimized by the apps provided by Apple's App Store, how they tell their story to Apple?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. What they really need to do is they need to put a form on all of the localized websites to be able to allow people to express a concern about an app. Do some research and figure out if this is happening. And if it is, remove the app from the store, contact the appropriate jurisdictional police, and get that matter resolved. But right now, that's not being done, and it's unfortunate. The App Store overall, like I was saying before, is that there's like 2% of bad actors in the space, 1 to 2%. And so you got to look at the beauty of the 98%. But having said that, I think Steve would be a little more aware of the bad things that are happening on the platform and look at ways of fixing them. I think Steve would be more interested in fixing it than Tim is. Tim's all about numbers. So to me, it's not shocking that he doesn't spend his time on this kind of stuff because it's not going to make him money.